This horse used to being lunged with a rider?
Yeah, she gets lunged every weekend bareback. Sarah's daughter.
Oh, for vaulting?
No, just confidence.
Oh, okay.
She's that comfy. And
No, she looks like with her ears are swiveling around and stuff. She looks like she's got a big question mark on her forehead.
No, she's good. She's probably just asking who
we
is
just
this?
lunge your bareback because it's good for her confidence.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, and it's really good for her core.
Yeah.
Teaches them to sit.
Yeah.
And it's great to ride bareback in the winter.
And she has no wither, so it's okay.
Yeah. Right, so yeah, it gives her great balance, great strength in her core, and just super confidence.
Does he find that you hunch the shoulders and start lounging in the bareback thing?
No. Hell
Not
no.
if you're teaching them, right? No.
No, not at all.
Okay, so we need to listen. Okay, so that would have had to be premeditated.
Okay.
And you would have had, you know that strap I showed you in the barn?
Yeah.
So what you would have done is you would have knotted your reins that they were long enough that she could hold in front of the knot.
Yeah.
And then you would have had the loop through that apparatus going back to the D-ring, so the reins couldn't possibly go over the horse's head when she let go.
Yeah.
And so then you could have her drop the reins and then pick them up with ease. Okay. So you can't really do that at this moment because you don't have that.
Can I just say what's in the manual?
Yeah.
So with regards to dropping reins, when the horse is, okay, you should ride on the lunging circle with reins and stirrups until they are relaxed and confident. At this point, the reins can be secured over the horse's neck. So I guess if you were just going to do a walk,
then it would be okay to just knot the reins.
But if you're going to carry on and do trot, I would do the walk trot first and then drop the reins.
So that's the thing, is you have to halt the horse and then knot the reins. You can't just drop the reins. You can't have them hanging down willy-nilly.
Because the key there is that they're secured over the horse's neck, so they're not just left floating in the breeze.
Yeah.
So that when they do full body shakes, they don't come up over their ears.
Well, yeah, or restricted. Right. Basically now we're seeing the first exercise, right? Before it was just saying what the problem was. Wasn't getting anywhere, so now she's doing an exercise to fix.
Okay. There we go. Okay, now relax. All right. You comfortable to go forward to trot? You can look with me. There we go. All right. Trot on.
Better now. course they are, but that's okay. Okay, so we're just going to talk over you for a minute, Emily. Okay? Okay. So, any comments on how this is going so far and what's good and what's maybe missing the mark? Anybody? It's okay, because we're all here to learn. Emily, you're not going to be offended, right?
Oh, go for it.
Exactly.
Please,
Okay.
yeah, please. That's
Okay,
why
so what is good about what she's doing here? So the good part is that she is actually doing an exercise. She's identified a problem. She has identified that the rider is not getting down into her heel very well. And so she's attempting to correct it using the standing in the stirrups. So that is a good thing. She has identified a problem and is trying to fix it. But where is she missing the mark? So she keeps saying, stop posting. Why is the kid still posting?
Yeah.
Why? Come on, somebody tell me. Why is she still posting when she's being told to stand in her stirrups and she's not able to stand up? Why is she still posting? Yes?
It doesn't register in my brain yet.
it hasn't registered in her brain.
Well, but it's not just that. She can't stand up in her stirrups. Why can't she?
Stirrups are too long.
Her lower leg is out in front of her. Yeah. Okay? So what the problem is that Emily's trying to actually make her do two things that are actually contradictory to each other. She's trying to get her to push her heel down, but because she doesn't have any flexibility in her ankle to put her heel down, she's pushing her leg forward, which means she can't stand up. Okay? So, and you need to identify that and go, wait a minute, this isn't working the way I wanted it to. So you have to amend what you're doing. And so what are some things that you could maybe do to amend? Because do you think today, based on what you've seen so far, are her heels actually going to improve today? No, because they're pretty solid. That's something where you need to say and identify to the examiners, this rider needs to develop a deeper heel, but it's an issue that she needs to work on at home. And so now I'm going to address this issue instead. And you're saying that to her, but your examiners hear you and understand, you know her heels aren't down, but trying to get her to push her heels down, all it's doing is making her leg do this.
What I find is you try to make kids bring their leg back underneath of them and their heels aren't down far enough, then when they bring their leg back underneath them, then their heels are actually up. Like
Okay, but again, her ankle is not going to change today. Not today. Okay, so if you go to your exam and have it in your head, I'm hell-bent, I'm going to get the heels down, you will fail. Because it's not going to happen today. You are going to be unsuccessful because you are going to create another positional problem in trying to fix one.
Don't.
Okay, so what you can do then is instead of putting the focus on the heel, put the focus on the leg. And so to put the focus on the leg, perhaps because she's obviously not secure enough to stand up, so what's an in-between thing that she can do instead? 2 point. So start with 2 point because then she can support herself with her hands and you can play with her leg as much as you want because she's got the support of the hands.
Well, yeah, that's why I was kind of having her grab mane.
Right, but if you're grabbing mane when you're standing up, depending on the conformation of your rider, that might actually make them hunch. Okay? Again, you may be creating another positional problem in solving one other. So be careful. You got to look for the root problem. And I'm going to tell you what I think this person's root problem is she's stiff in her back.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay? The real problem here is she's got her bum stuck out.
Yeah.
And she needs to sit less on her crotch and more on her seat bones.
Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay? So at the walk, what the root problem is with this rider is she needs to go from here to here. She needs to sit down into her seat bones and down, thinking almost down into her knees. And look what happened to her lower leg. Her lower leg came back because now she's sitting down. Okay? So let's make sure, and I'm talking as a candidate, not as an examiner right now, let's not get pulled into the easy fix, because the easy fix is the heel down. Let's try to look for what's the root problem, because even though she's thinking about that back, it's still very stiff. And you really need to, I think as you're walking, what you can tell her, Emily, is, okay, so let's follow the horse's walk. Let's feel the right hip, the left hip, the right hip, the left hip. And look.
But Carolyn was saying, you need to actually drop the stirrups to amplify this, and that would be the exercise.
I would be going stirrupless and reinless and be doing the hands above the head to mount the sides, what have you.
Exactly.
Get Develop everything more.
And exercises with the legs too, rotating the ankles, anything to get her to lengthen her whole body. And
Because now that she's relaxed her back, because our comment was that the stirrups almost look too long, but now that she's relaxing her back, the stirrups don't look so long because she's actually dropping down into her leg. Do you understand? Yeah? Okay.
I find a good thing to do as an instructor when you're first looking and assessing a student is I start at the core and work out instead of going, oh, the heels are bad.
Their hands are active.
Yeah, I look at the core first.
So let's just demonstrate dropping the stirrups
there.
and choosing to do some things without stirrups. Because you can even do with one hand, like put both reins into one hand and do an exercise with the arm that will help you release your back as well.
Okay, so when you have them drop their stirrups, do you still like cross over, just like hang, take the weight off the saddle? Because I know there's a couple of...
Okay, so at the walk, I'd be totally okay with her dropping her stirrups and then picking her stirrups up again.
Yeah.
Right? Because in a kind of a situation where you don't know the rider very well, you want her to be able to grab her stirrups back. And it's not like the horse is controlled by you. Okay? The thing is that if you think that the horse is going to be agitated by a bouncing stirrup, you wouldn't trot them. But honestly, you don't need to trot today to show a correction in this rider's position because... Right? So don't take it to that level. You can spend a good 10 minutes doing things at the walk without stirrups to improve this and then show us at the end putting her feet back in the stirrups and see the difference. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just really cold.
I know. Sorry. You're almost done. You're almost done.
Going forward, to think about what to do with the stirrups if you're going to do this exercise at trot. Like personally, I have a problem with crossing stirrups over side reins and.
Well, the problem is that the crossing. I'm not a big fan of it either.
No.
Because honestly, too, the stirrup can get underneath the rider's leg.
Yeah. And if you're...
So this situation, honestly, in this exam situation, we would not need to see a trot at all. The horse has been warmed up at the trot. Unless you couldn't find one positional problem at the walk and you had to go forward to trot.
Yeah.
But this particular rider is showing us things to improve at the walk. So you don't need to.
Exactly. Right? So right here, we're just kind of establishing that you don't even need to trot the student.
Yeah.
You know, because there's so much to do right now.
No, I'm just thinking of going ahead. Like if someone pushed ahead and said, "Okay, I want to trot this student," I think crossing stirrups on the lunge line with side reins is dangerous.
Yeah.
Personally, but that's
I would agree.
And you know, if you're lunging a relative beginner on a lunge line, you should be working with a horse that's comfortable with a bumpy stirrup. Right?
Yeah, agreed.
So that goes back to the question of is this horse suitable for the lesson today? But we all know the exercises because really this girl needs to lengthen and stretch her hip flexors and relax her lower back. So she could be doing exercises where, you know, she's bringing the knee back behind the saddle flap and doing stretches and things like that. Elongating the torso, so getting her to stretch straight up. And because she can't take away both reins right now because she didn't plan for it, you know, we can do these exercises, right? And then you would just see a natural position happen as soon as you get their mind out of
Forced posture.
Yeah.
Right?
And chances are there's a bit of nerves going on with this rider as well. She's got a whole whack of people watching her, and so I'm sure that stiffened her up a bit too.
And
Right?
she's probably cold.
And she's probably cold as well. Okay. But of course, our faults always come out stronger when we're under those circumstances. So it's a good thing for Katie to recognize is that, okay, so this is something that I need to work on, because a stiff back like that won't get through a C2. She needs to be able to relax that lower back and sit with her horse and feel that horse coming up underneath her more than she's doing right now.
And so she's getting her to feel the steps with her seat. That's nice.
Yep, that's a great exercise.
That's nice. Like that.
Love to see that in a B2. If I saw that in a B2 exam, if this had gone without any interference, if she had come to the conclusion, the issue here's the back, so I'm going to take it back to the walk, and I'm going to introduce this as the exercise, that for me for a B2 would be very, very solid. That's a good progression of thought.
Unfortunately, too, the saddle that she's in is a jumper saddle, and so it is designed for you to be up into basically a half seat, and it has the thigh roll, which is preventing her leg from coming back. So we have to recognize those things as well, that no matter what she's going to do, the saddle doesn't fit her. It fits me. It's my saddle. I'm taller than her, so it doesn't work, right? Whereas I could get my leg long on that because my knee actually goes around that instead of her calf being on the thigh roll. So you have to analyze that too, and you're looking to make sure that the tack is fitting. And again, not just the horse, but the rider too.
And if your candidate can have, because of course at the end of this, the candidate should have a discussion with the examiners, and if the candidate is able to identify those things and say, then that's really amazing. Like if they can identify that, you know, part of the issue with her not being able to get her leg back was the fact that, like in this case, Emily's a lot taller than Katie, so she could say, this is my saddle, and the thigh block is definitely interfering with her ability to bring her leg back.
So forward, but my hips are moving side to side. Okay.
And as she's talking and getting into it, she's relaxing more. You can see her sitting more with the horse.
Forward did that. Yep. All right.
The thing is, too, is on a coaching perspective, Emily's getting two-way communication going quite nicely in between, getting understanding. So on our level, this is actually turning out now to be a way better lesson because there's actual discussion and understanding.
I think what Emily was liking was the understanding that she can keep this very simple.
Yeah.
That she's trying to go
Exactly.
trying to do something too complicated.
Yes.
So now that she's got the understanding that you can keep it simple and stay in a walk.
Yeah.
So
In our a competition coach, you have 4 lessons you have to teach: jumping flat, an equitation, and then lunging. So an equitation lesson is a private lesson, and you have 15 minutes to do that. I had one candidate not even get out of the halt and did a complete once-over on this rider, and it was amazing the depth that he went into to change his rider because he watched this rider in the lessons that he taught before. You got to keep it simple. Keeping it simple, you're going to get the most out of it. The more you complicate things, the student's not going to get there in the same level, right?
And you don't have a lot of time.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? You find that candidates don't see when there's too much going on, and they're just trying to show you all of their skills instead of focusing on the core problem. So Sarah was really good at mentioning the core problem, and then let's figure out how to fix that, because that really was the issue. The heels are just a symptom, right? All right, do we have any more comments about this? Are we pretty happy? So at the beginning, it wasn't quite there, but now we're feeling like it's there, right?